Hello and welcome everyone to the Friday, September 9th edition of the Contributor Comms meeting. A reminder, we do have a code of conduct, which basically says to be respectful of your fellow speakers and attendees and generally be excellent to each other. And I have our notes here, which hopefully everyone can see. and so we'll go ahead and start off with the notes section beneath the table if you're in the doc. If you have any updates, big wins, or new items, please do go ahead and let us know by putting them in here. So the first one I went ahead and put in, which is an update on the Contributor Summit, which we were just talking about before we started recording. So good thing to go over first. As I've mentioned before, I'm helping to lead comms for the Contributor Summit. So I just want to keep folks in the loop about what's happening there. The call for proposals apparently stands for call for proposals, not call for papers in this case. Do whatever you want. But the CFP for the Contributor Summit is now open. That is going to be in person at KubeCon North America. Several folks in this group are helping out with that messaging. So we had sent out the initial announcement that registration was open and asking folks to register before today. I think it was at 3 p.m. Pacific. We should probably send out another message about that. I had intended to, but hadn't really gotten around to it. So that we make sure that we have orders or registrations in time to make the swag order, and make sure that we get enough jacket sizes of the right sizes for folks. So we probably do need to send out another one of those. I guess I should probably add that as a note. I also have a tweet about the CFP scheduled to go out in about 4 minutes, actually. Hasn't gone out yet, but it is on the website. I wanted to give a little bit of time while I was awake this morning, since I did it after like my work hours yesterday, to see if anybody said anything about it, but nobody has in particular. So I think we're good to go there. So we're going to need to do a few more tweets about the call for papers as well. This is just the initial announcement, and we'll do a few more as we go along about the deadline as it comes up. Also probably cool. So that's my updates for the Contributor Summit. We'll be focused on the CFP for a little bit now, and I'll have to look at our plan to see what else is coming up. Any questions, comments about that? Cool. And the folks who are shadowing me for that can always reach out to me on Slack, of course. We can always discuss in more detail. Okay, so no other updates, big wins? Cool. Then we will go on ahead and move into new items. An exciting bit of news for Federico. You want to share?
Yes, well, it's exciting, certainly, and still not absolutely convinced myself of how this happened. But anyway, yes, I'm the comms lead for the 26th release. And I'm quite happy and proud of it. And to a large extent, whatever I did that landed me here is actually directly related with the work I've been doing with all of you. So it's a huge thank you to all, because that's the truth, and I hope that my involvement here will continue as always, and whatever I learn here will be applicable to the comms lead role and vice versa.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congrats. Seriously.
Many thanks. And as Ray added there, I think it was Ray, there's already some changes being discussed around the release cadence of feature blocks. So that is one of the of those 4 release blocks per week. Let's see how many feature blocks we will have this release cycle. The last one was the bloggiest release ever.
Yes.
Let's see if we can break that, make or break that record.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I asked, I think it was last week, hey, Cube Weekly team, like, how do we treat blog releases in the like official Kubernetes newsletter? And they were like, "Ooh, we really need to think about that given the number of posts coming out of this release." And I was like, yeah, exactly.
Nice. It's such good timing that we finally got Buffer together and we have automation now to deal with all of these blog posts. I was working on the tweet for the Contributor Summit last night, and I was like, oh, there's a blog tweet scheduled to go out a little bit later tonight. So beautiful. So, and Rodrigo, if you ever need any help, you know where to find us. We always try to stay tied in with what's going on with the release and make sure we're supporting you. So you've got
Excellent.
us.
Thank you very much.
And several of us have been involved with the release team in the past, so we have some familiarity with it. So any help you need, we got you.
Thank you.
Cool. So any other new items or updates, big wins that folks want to go through before we go into the table? Let's go. Okie dokie. We'll go on ahead into the table. Of course, you can always bring up anything at any time. Let's see here. All right, so first item is the Hina thing where she's been working on making sure that we get alerted when new issues are filed that relate to us. She had updated the template for issues so that it mentions us so that we would get alerted via our team within GitHub. We also noticed a couple of weeks ago that this has kind of a gap when it comes to PRs. And I think there's something actually at the bottom of the table for that. So there's a little bit of work still ongoing with this, which is why I still have it on the on the table, but it's mostly kind of settled out right now. Yeah. Oh yes, and here it is. It's actually at the top here. Prioritizing this as it should cover the gap for PRs. Automatically add a comment tagging comms team when the comms team label is applied. Yeah, so that's what she's working on right now to make sure that we're alerted when both PRs and issues get filed that we should know about. Next item, this thing. Do we want to delete this?
No, never. That
Okay.
is my bête noire, but actually I progressed. Well, not as much as I wanted because I was on vacation, and in the end I traveled slightly more than what I was expecting, so not enough time near the computer, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yes. But I've already, as I said last time, I've already deleted my clone from that was preventing this. So I do have my local changes, and I just need to have 30 minutes to submit them. With some of these release things from the last week, I was slightly burdened since I arrived this Monday from vacations, but this is on my next item list. So by next meeting, this should have an action on it. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. I forgot that we were still doing the kind of reworking the draft.
Yeah, exactly.
Post, so cool. Sounds good. And that's targeted for the contributor site, right? Yeah.
It is. Yes.
Yeah. Makes sense. All righty. Gonna move on to the next item then. Oh yeah, I meant to post something in the main ContribEx channel about the fact that we are now auto-generating blog tweets, which is very exciting. But then I never really did do that. Feels kind of too late now.
I mean, we had a discussion about it with Josh.
We did.
But it's not like that wasn't the official announcement. So
yeah. I think I should still do something.
No, I would just say, hey, as a reminder, we auto tweet out blog posts
Cool.
now, so you don't need to schedule those kind of thing, right? Like
Yeah, it's not like
just a friendly nudge kind of deal. Hey, you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about like social media. It's kind of automatic.
I like that.
Mhm.
Cool. I'm gonna assign myself. No, I should write it down. I never look at the assignments. Well, I do sometimes, but never in times that are good, you know? So physically writing it down. Anyone who's new, this is what I do. Message about auto blocks. Speaking of folks who might not be familiar with our group, once again forgot at the beginning of this meeting to offer for anyone who is new to our group who wants to say hello. If you haven't introduced yourself before, I don't know if there's anyone in the call like that, but totally optional if you would like to pop in and say hello with voice or through chat. You are most welcome to do so now. Not sure that there is anyone new on the call, so I will go on ahead and move on. But always feel free to pop in. Okay, so I'll do that a little bit later after this call. That shouldn't take long. And next item, review repo, look into adding a description of what roles mean to us and new roles. So we've been going over this exercise of deciding what roles we think are important for our group and finding them. Updates on that. Social media coordinator role is in and done and has been for several weeks. Avinash, you've been working on the events coordinator role. How is that going if you're here?
Sorry, before that, in
Oh,
the
yeah.
event one, do you have a link? Because that's no, the social media coordinator one that you said that was done.
Oh, yeah.
It's on the webpage, but I've tried to find it and I've missed. So perhaps it would be interesting to add a link to the table as well while it's still being discussed.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I ended up finding it, by the way, but it's I had to go there and search, and it would be exactly. Perfect. Thank you.
Actually, I'm gonna make this a hyperlink so that it doesn't make this longer. But there we go.
Excellent.
I also didn't share the link to this doc. It seems like everybody is kind of in here, but oh yeah, that's right. You are new to this call. I'm gonna read your message aloud to everyone. We have Kim McMahon joining us today, who's someone who's been deeply involved in this community for a very long time. And she's also helping as one of our shadows for the Contributor Summit. So she's here and saying hello, Axie and CF, Oracle, getting started volunteering with the community. Well, directly with the Kubernetes community.
Yeah.
You've been doing stuff with the community for a long time.
Thank you. Yes. Hello, everybody.
So great person to reach out to and get to know. Anybody wants to say hello? Inviting people into your inbox to say hi.
Yeah. Please join my inbox.
Lots of great folks in here who just have lots of awesome stuff going on. So love it when folks get to know each other. All right, so I'll go back to the table. Social media coordinator role link updated. So if you hadn't been able to find that, there it is. Okay, back to Avinash. Is Avinash on this week? Doesn't sound like it. Usually pops on pretty quick. Should open up the participants window so that I can see. Yeah, no, not on this week. That's fine. We have the PR. So Avinash has had this PR out for a little bit. Oh yes, remember last week he was on and he was asking because before that we had discussed some of the comments on his PR while he wasn't in the meeting. And so he wanted to get the updates on what we had discussed. And then I got kind of busy this week and didn't reach out to him about that. So that's a to-do item on my list. Reach out to Avinash about those. Basically, I don't think there was anything we were going to change about his PR. We were going to update a little bit of the wording just to make things a little bit clearer. But I need to communicate that to him. So that's where that one is. Which is exactly what I told myself last week. And did I listen to myself? No. So the next one, we have this concept of a project manager role, which we've discussed a couple of times, but it's not at a state where we have a draft yet or anything. So still a concept. Another one that's kind of still a concept is an approver leader role idea. We're not quite sure what this would be yet. It has some combination of tech lead as well as group lead type concepts kind of in this bucket right now. So we're still sorting out exactly what that's going to look like. I think it'll become a little bit clearer as we get the contributor site role down, as both of these kind of have tech lead role elements. So Imran, how's that going?
Yeah. So I have an update on this. So I started, yeah. So I have also an idea like we could merge the tech lead and also automation role, what Rajula has developed. So I was waiting for updates because some of the tools kind of it integrates with each other. And I thought maybe tech lead could be a like umbrella role, which handles the automation and everything inside it. So, because that's when I looked up your social media contributor role, I had some points. So I thought tech lead role might exactly fit, the automation as well as the dev side. So,
yeah, I was thinking so too. I was actually thinking that maybe we would have the contributor site and automation lead roles both defined as like more specific roles that might have easier guidelines for folks to follow and get involved with, and then have the tech lead role kind of be a higher level umbrella role for both of those. That was one concept in my mind, but what do you think?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's
that
so
makes sense.
So yeah, tech lead role is like umbrella having the two descriptions about the contributor side and also automation, right? These are the two. Yeah, I'm actually I'm writing like this. So one is the automation, which I will get or we will get from Rajula, and the other thing about the dev side, so which I'm also writing it, because the automation also the content for the dev side also comes a little bit from the automation. So I'm just waiting for this knowledge sharing so that I'll have more insights about it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Actually, it's also an update. Like, Rajula sent an update like 2 weeks back, and still waiting for the folks to provide a feedback. So we haven't heard from it. I was part of the chat, but unfortunately, the other folks haven't reached out. I messaged them, but so far no response. So maybe we can do. I don't know. We should update here in the meeting notes so that the folks can just speed up a little bit.
Yes. I know that Rajula was on, was that last week or the week before?
Yeah, I think it's last week he said,
right? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he had that doc and he had asked me to review it. I think he wanted me to do that before opening it up for broader review. But yeah, that is a good idea. I think I would like to get more folks involved with this sooner rather than later. One thing I was also going to mention is I know that Atharva has been really interested in these.
Yeah, I think he added
So
Atharva and Avinesh and I think Nigan. So these are the 4 people he created a chat to it, and I think folks has to reply so that we find a time slot to go through the technical details.
Yeah. So I've put this on my to-do list for today. No, I didn't get to it last week. I kind of lost a bunch of things last week, but where do I want to put this? Under automation lead role. I'm going to go ahead and put the link to his HackMD in here because I know a bunch of folks from our group are interested in this area of role and interested in learning these types of skills. So if folks want to review that and put in any comments, I think folks should be welcome to. And I'll try to make sure that I do this today as well. So there it is. Yeah, so the concept here is automation lead role and contributor site role will be like specific tech areas for folks to own, and
Mhm.
they will both be part of the tech lead role. What
So
we're thinking
yeah,
right now.
exactly. So that's the document. So I wrote a little bit on automation. So I think probably by next week I can do a draft and maybe place it for review.
I like to write out who's actually working on things. So that we can check with folks who are most up to date. I think I'll put you up here actually, and just do it that way. Lovely. All right, any other questions about the contributor site, automation lead, or tech lead roles?
Not now.
Sounds good. And one more concept, which now that we've got Frederico back, will be good for us to go over. I've been meaning to reach out to you, Frederico. Of course, you've been out anyway, so we can start now. About the concept for a blogging lead. So the idea here was to have someone in our team responsible for helping to make sure that we are collaborating with the blogging sub project, which you've been doing a great job of with writing out that new blogging guideline for us. Making sure that review and other blog tasks that we're trying to get done are actually getting done, and working with all the folks who will be writing blogs. So do you like this idea? Do you want to continue with it?
I like, yes, and I want to continue, and I actually have a draft that I want to share with you first before adding there, because the idea was for us to review it first. It's still very rough around the edges, but it started as an appendix to the blogging guidelines that is already in HackMD. So what I did was extract parts of it, and I have an initial draft following the same structure that you used for the others
Social media.
Around. Yeah, exactly. What's expected, what is the role, what is the commitment, the skills, shadows, etc. Nothing major, but I've got something. So I will send you the link to Slack for you, just to have your initial review, and then obviously it's not a secret. We can just share it on the channel and add it there afterwards.
That's how it starts. Sounds perfect. There we go. Blog. I'll rewrite that to-do list item later. Totally. Or I'll figure it out, one of those two. Okay, so that's it for our roles right now. Any other questions about roles within our group and how all that's going?
Maybe I have one more thing, maybe regarding
Yes,
the
please.
tech lead. So, I mean, there has been a feature request in the contributor site which asks for a high-level walkthrough about the Kubernetes project and architecture. It's been placed for a long time. Maybe that I will send a link. So this could also be kind of the tech lead that like clues out this information and be placed in the site, so that it's like a know-how we have with the. I'll just place this.
Yeah, more details required. Let's open that up. A section that gives a high-level overview of the Kubernetes project. Code base tour, architecture. Oh yeah. Yeah, this would be a nice thing for our tech lead to understand. And since we own the contributor site, that makes a lot of sense to me. So this would require working kind of across the project to get this high level overview of what's going on and confirming that you've got it right and everything. Yeah, I think we can work toward that.
Yeah, it's also, I think it's a recurring, it's quite a huge project. So we'll have a lot of front and back discussion. So this could be also one of the responsibilities.
Yeah. I don't know if that falls under contributor site or tech lead. I guess it falls under the contributor site tech lead.
Could be.
Do you think we should file that as a separate item in our table? As a separate work item that needs to get done? Because it's not really part of defining the role.
Yeah,
It's
it's not
like
part of the
its own
defining role.
thing.
Yeah, it's its own. It's our own thing. So it's maybe we can create a role. Yeah, we can create an item to work on it. Or I've seen this issue for a long time. I'm also interested to take up this issue to work on it.
Yeah,
Maybe
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so this will also, I think we'll create a content in the site. So
How was it described in here? Architecture, code-based tour. Could also be a useful resource for, I know Bob Killen is working on an effort to, oh, that's bold. That's fine. Is working on an effort to create new contributor workshop materials. And I think this would be useful for that. So I'll make a note in here about that Bob will be a person to reach out to. He also knows a lot of things about the GitHub.
Okay.
So he could be a good resource here.
Okay, maybe then I can take up this task. I'll speak to Bob Killen about this.
Yeah. All right. And I unbolded that. Of course I did. And then I made it italic. There we go. Alrighty. So that's an exciting new item. I feel like Atarva would be interested in that work as well. If you need help with it at any point or anything, he might be a good person to help. Cool. Any other things on roles or this contributor site thing? Link is in there so folks can check it out on their. All right, we'll move on. I did a little bit of work on this week. Tried to at least make some progress here. I went ahead and merged. There was one in the contributor tweets repo, so I went ahead and got that merged. I took a deeper look at a lot of these, and I noticed that a lot of them are changing the link, but not changing the text, which oftentimes the text says marketing team. So I'm realizing that I'm going to have to probably go in and make additional PRs to update the verbiage on a lot of these. But also, more importantly, there was that one that had actually two, both 6714 and 6715 are affected by that failure in our tests, because what the failure sounds like is it sounds like these files are auto-generated docs that are generated from sigs.yaml. So what needs to be updated is sigs.yaml, then a make generate needs to be run to generate those other docs. So we don't edit them directly, they're like automatically generated. That's what I think this means. And sorry, I should have opened that in a new window. But these links are in the notes. So Chris had put a comment on here. Oh, nice. Yes. Rashida responded even. Nice thing about pinging late at night. It works very well for some time zones. So Madhav had made, I pronounced that totally wrong, didn't I? Madhav had made a comment about this issue and that you need to do the make generate on sigs.yaml. Chris Short also echoed that to help with fixing the error. Harshita had asked a question about it. So she had created a separate PR for the changes, and then she wasn't sure if she should run make generate here or in that new PR. And I suggested running it in the new PR.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah. And I also asked for the link to the new PR because I didn't have it. I didn't think. Oh, no, it is 6715. Okay. Was not clear on that. Cool.
Cool. So do we need the other one open still?
I don't think we will, but I think we need to open until we know that that is actually how it works.
Good point.
Yeah. So mention this pull request 8 hours ago, but nothing in this pull request changed. Okay. So I think the next item here is to check in with Harshita again on this, talk about what she's tried, and make sure that we're figuring out exactly how to fix this error, which I hadn't been familiar with before. Sound like a plan?
Sure.
Cool. So that's affecting, I'm just going to go ahead and reopen this again in its own tab. So that's affecting 2 of these, and there was something with this third one. Oh yes, this other one is in website, and one of the changes in it had been to an old blog, and so there were comments on here that we don't modify existing blogs,
makes
but there was still one
But
thing
we
that needed to go in.
have before.
Yeah, there was something. What did
We
they
did
say?
it for Docker
Anyway.
Shim, I think. But yeah.
Well,
mean,
that's Docker Shim.
I know. Like that was a whole thing. It's not like
That's
we've
a whole-
never done it.
Yeah. But put an outdated banner instead.
Yeah. Like that. I thought they had a process for like that reaped all those and added the banner.
Yeah,
Or
we
am I
do.
wrong? Okay.
If it's after a year, then it gets the updated banner.
Okay.
Unless evergreen equals true.
So we need to check if evergreen is true, which it
Yeah.
probably isn't.
Yeah.
And
Which probably, not many blogs have that.
yeah, I was about to say there can't be that many.
Yeah. And that's on the front matter for the markdown. So it's to be, but not many blogs have that.
Yeah, like you just grep for that and you'll be okay, I think.
So blog aside, though, the main thing that's really blocking this one right now is that the actual link that we're trying to update is not actually active yet.
Yeah. And I think that's
So-
that GitHub rename or the
Yeah, I think it's the one that's the 2 that are blocked by the 6.yaml issue.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, so mainly we need to get that fixed. But aside from that, anything that can go in is in. So there are a couple of links that are actually currently broken because we don't have those other ones in. We'll get it sorted out. Yeah, so that's the status on that. And yeah, that goes over all of them because 6714 and 6715 are the ones that are affected by the 6.yaml issue. And this one is just waiting for those because it's reasonable, unlike the other 2. We're just like, we'll just go ahead and do it. Anyway. And like I said, there is that additional item here that I need to come back to around actually changing verbiage, which is not the most critical thing. Like the main thing is to get the actual repo name updated. So
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. Like the blog post shouldn't matter as much.
yep.
Unless it's like, yeah, go here. To which we need to make sure. Does GitHub do redirects? No, they don't, do they?
If you're asking, probably not.
No.
That's how I feel about GitHub.
Like if you just rename a GitHub repo, does it actually like remember I was named this? I don't think it does.
I doubt it. No, wouldn't think
Yeah.
so.
Where's that GitHub person that we had?
Yep. So that's still ongoing. And I guess we'll move on to the next item. I should probably actually update this with that status. I don't want to do that right this second. Update rename issue. Cool. All right, we'll move on in our list. All right, 6 spotlights. So Furnace Wires went out quite a while ago. The 6 storage one also went out quite a while ago, and I never did put the link in here, which I should probably do. I mentioned that last week. You were also interested, Federico, in doing ones on SIG architecture and SIG security. Now you've got even more on your plate, though. Do you want to keep pushing on these?
No, yeah. So
Okay.
I've actually, Rishit talked with me, and I coordinated with him the next stage. So the thing is, with architecture, actually, I have things are progressing because I've expanded the conversation to the other co-shares, and now we have a timetable with things to go on. So that one, and I already have the questions for that one and part of the answers, which means that I can still, anyone can help, right? But it doesn't really pay off to hand off this to anyone else because it's essentially just it's halfway there. The security one, that one is actually not even started because I was waiting for confirmation that they wanted to actually do it, and they ended up never saying yes. I've
Okay.
pinged the responsible again, and I'm waiting for an answer. And this one, since the questions are not even done yet, I don't. Anyone can take them. So if Rishit wants to take the security one, I think we can work on that together, or he can take the lead or whatever. Or again, with the amount of SIGs that exists and the time that it takes for them to actually reply, it's I wouldn't say no for Rishit, for example, to select another one or two of them, because by the time one of them says yes, things maybe we will have one in 1 month's time instead of none, right?
Yep.
Because this is
Welcome
like
to SIG
fishing with a
Spotlights.
very large this is like fishing with a very large net. Yeah, you need really to throw it out there so that you can get like this single fish on your hand.
Yep. Yeah, these have traditionally been kind of slow because a lot of the time, like SIGs are doing so many things. They just get so busy. If you don't ask quite at the right time, if they're deep in the release cycle or something, you got to wait until they're available. And so these just end up taking a while, which is not the worst thing, honestly, because that means that we've had this on our backlog for a really long time. So when new folks come in, we can be like, hey, you want to work on this? But then the amount of time that it takes can sometimes cause them not to get done. But yeah,
I can share the I can direct Rishit to the thread in SIG security what I'm asking. This is one, and also Rishit, we can also look into the roster of SIGs and see if there's one out there that's still up for the taking that you can, in addition to this, also start poking to see if maybe a new one will get you up and running sooner than picking up something that is a bit stale for some time.
sounds good. And been noticing. Anyway,
No,
so
I'm
it sounds
just
like,
reading text from boss or messages from
oh dear,
bosses.
that is certainly a cause for strange facial expressions, no matter what it may be.
This is being recorded, right?
Yeah. I'm not gonna
So
say.
just to say that
For
I really
posterity.
like bosses in general, right? It's,
I, for one,
welcome my present and future bosses in all their shapes and forms. So we can move on now. I'm covered.
smart. Cool. So we'll move that SIG security one along as best we can. I know that they're always super busy. They're wonderful folks to work with, though. And we do have that other item later on our table that we want to work with them on. So it'll be good to spin up some contact with them.
Yep.
Also, like I said, this is a great new first task for any new folks. So if you want to learn more about SIG Spotlights and get started with them, you can let us know in our Slack channel, or you can ping me directly, or I guess, Frederico, would you want people to ping you directly for information about SIG Spotlights? Or have them ask me?
sure, you, me, I'm
Okay.
I don't have a problem with it. It's fine.
Cool.
If people contacted me, I can assist in the best way possible.
Cool. So reach out either to either of us directly or in the Slack channel if you want to get started with one of these, and we'll make sure you have the materials you need. Okay. And so we'll move on. Make sure that I'm up to date on chat, which I am. Good, good. Yes, so we'll move on. Updates to the blogging instructions. So I know you had been adding updates to the HackMD. Any updates there?
I don't.
Just getting
from
back
my
into
side,
it.
yeah, but I'm more on a wait and see stage at the moment, because I need. So this is up for review since I published it. So I'm more now reacting to criticism, feedback,
Which I have
suggestions,
feedback
etc.
for you right now, since it's actually top of mind right now. Upstream marketing, contributor comms.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I didn't change that. So that was like low hanging fruit, but thank you.
Yeah. I know that I've read through this before and not caught that. So
yeah. No, true, absolutely. I think that's this predates the change being done everywhere, so that's why I kept it. Actually, and you can see like the skeleton of the appendix that I cut it out, those parts, and I've added to a separate HackMD file, which I will share with you. So that I need to delete it completely. But
makes
yeah,
sense.
apart from that, the rest is the way that I added all the comments that I got in the Slack channel with what to do when it's going to the Kubernetes, to the KDev sites, when it's going to be cross-posted, when it's going to the other, who to contact when, etc. I tried to reflect there most of the instructions, not only for contributors, but also around the role of an editor. Actually, this has some overlaps with the blogging handbook, right? Because the way that I increase this makes it more of a handbook than anything else. But anyway, I welcome feedback to see if it reflects the community consensus or not.
Yeah, this is really awesome. And the social media role actually has something similar where it has guidelines for writing social media in a separate doc. So there is precedent.
I can add
for
it
that.
there as well.
Yeah, it's true. We might want to keep them separate though, because blogging I feel like is a heavier weight task for folks than social media posts. So, and this is such an awesome guide to it. You've got like tips like remain impartial and for writing an effective
a lot of
blog.
it was already there, right? So it was already,
but now it's in one place.
True. Yeah, and it has both the tips and the process, because one thing is to know how to write an article in general, the other is how to navigate the specifics of how to put it out on the Kates.dev and Kubernetes IO sites.
And I've actually mentioned this guide, by the way, to the shadows helping me with the Contributor Summit, because we're trying to do some blog posts for the contributor site. Actually, that's a good point. I wonder if we need a section of this like on the contributor site repo for like how to contribute blogs to the contributor site, having it there as well. I don't know. Something for us to think about. But so I'm trying to have a bunch of the shadows write contributor site blogs for the Contributor Summit. And I mentioned that you have this wonderful guide that they might want to look at as they're looking into doing
assuming this. it's correct, yes. But
looks good.
But again, I can change it, or ultimately the next step is to open the PR, right? So this is a bit of a Ouroboros-like thing, because this follows the same process that it's trying to describe, right? Because the idea is to have it first on HackMD and then submit it already in close to final form.
which is the appropriate workflow as we have established. So
Yeah.
Sounds good. So if anyone particularly wants to look over those guidelines and provide any feedback, you can find the link in our notes, and reviews are welcome. Note that changes are happening in the HackMD and not in the PR. So the HackMD is the place to look. Cool. So we'll move on from that unless there are any questions. Good. I feel like it's been a bit since we've checked in on the Katacoda transition, which is now going to GitHub code spaces, right? And it needed some help. Ray, you asked last time for folks to check out GitHub code spaces and just provide their feedback on it if they could.
I have
Any
not
updates?
had time to check it out.
Shocked.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I can do it. But when I do it from a work computer, I might get questions asked. So what are you doing with this? Nothing. I'm just trying to see if it works. And right now it's not. So that's fun.
Learning.
Yeah. But I did talk to shoot, I forgot the guy's name that working on this with. Anyways, basically the premise is that like the code space has everything you need right there, and you just run these commands that are in the README and you build everything out. Pretty much the same. It's like,
Tutorial?
yeah, it's kind of like Katacoda in just a README file, right? Like
Okay.
it makes things a little easier, but we package up these code spaces as development environments essentially.
That sounds interesting. More interesting than I was expecting, actually.
Yeah, like
Maybe I
it
should
was,
look.
it was a lot more like cut and clean, I think, than I was expecting.
Yeah. And this is
So yeah,
still pretty new, right? As a thing.
it's
that
not
GitHub
like
is
a
doing.
public thing, right? Like I only have access because I was part of a beta test. So
That makes sense.
yeah.
So if folks did want to test out code spaces, they would need special privileges at this point, or is it publicly
I don't know.
accessible?
I think it's accessible. Like go to our GitHub repo of any type and just type period, hit the period key, and it should start opening if you have access.
Very nice related work that Rashid is doing that he posted in the chat. He's going to submit a talk to the Contributor Summit. Awesome.
Nice.
Excited. Thank you. On
Nice.
code spaces, using code spaces to contribute to SIG docs. So
Yeah,
sounds like we have an expert.
Yeah, if you have access, just there's the default key binding in GitHub. Hit period and it'll open it. So that way you can kick tires if need be. If you don't have access, we can get you access.
So if I just go to a GitHub page and I type period, it should bring it up if I have
working. Yeah.
Well, that didn't do anything here.
Well,
So
then there you have it.
maybe I don't have it.
Okay. How do we get Caslin?
I'm not essential on that, but if you want to,
No, I mean, we need to have a mechanism to be able to do it, right? So
good point. Forcing mechanism to actually get you to work that stuff out.
Yeah. There you go.
Understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Exciting. And Rashid, if you need any help with reviewing your talk or anything, feel free to reach out. Happy to help. I always love to help with talk submissions. So much fun. Cool. So we'll move on to the next item. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about with code spaces. Was there, Ray? Are there any other updates? We just kind of dived into it. Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good. And we're getting close to time, so we should start rolling through. Oh yes, there were still a few of these tweets about the annual report left to do that we haven't gotten to while you've been out, Frederico. Aren't you thrilled?
Define thrilled.
But I think we've pretty much finished because I added 3 or 4 this today or yesterday, something
Well,
like that.
perfect. I just checked that last
So,
night, but I must have missed it.
No, or it was in my morning, so likely it wasn't there yet. But there are 3 or 4 tweets there, and from my end, from the way that I look into that tracking sheet that we had, it's pretty much done, unless I've missed something, but I don't think so.
Thank you so much for doing this. Really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Cool. So I'll check in on those and make sure that they get tweeted out. I'll set alarms on my calendar.
And
That's what
and
I
after
found
that,
worked
I think
last
that
time.
we can close it because it's
Oh, actually, did you do them in Buffer or in GitHub?
in Buffer.
Oh, okay.
No, in
So that's
Buffer.
Nice.
cool. So I need to make sure that those get done. That'll be fun.
I
Then they're
created the
scheduled
post
and we can
it-
just approve them.
Mhm.
they are there for approval.
Perfect. Ugh, Buffer is great. Folks, find excuses to tweet on Buffer. It's fun.
Like, it just makes it easier, right?
You
Like,
need help finding an excuse, let us know. Okay.
I
So we'll move
cannot
on.
remember the name of the person doing the code space work to save my. Is that a Tarva or
In our group, because
Ed-
Craig Peters was a person who was working on it.
Craig? Okay, let me search for Craig because I know I was in somebody else. Deba. There we go.
Deba did, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I just followed the issues. Looks like someone did some scenario POC on killer code as well. But I
Yeah.
think
Originally, this said Killer Coda, which I think was the work Deba
Mm.
was doing. I feel like GitHub code spaces makes more sense though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when it was explained to me, yeah, it made a lot more sense. It didn't click for me naturally out of the box.
Oh, and we're on our last 3 items. We've got 4 minutes left and all of these are super quick. So, validate command still broken in GitHub as far as we know. Mentioned this to Rajula last week and I think on Slack as well. And so he still needs to take a look at that. As we know, he's working on his knowledge sharing document. And he also pinged me about the Slack bot being broken yesterday.
It's broken?
No, it isn't anymore.
Oh,
It was.
I was about to say I didn't hear about that. Good job.
That's what we want to hear, that something was broken and then it was fixed and you didn't even know.
Didn't even know. No idea. Wow, that's good stuff, y'all.
Yeah, Josh pinged in our channel yesterday, day before, that it was fixed. I think it was yesterday, because he was saying that it would be good to test it out with an election announcement.
Mhm.
So I was thinking that it would be good to do that last night because of time zones, but then I didn't. So maybe do that today, or maybe even save it for Monday, because we were just going to tweet or do a Slack message about voting, which is still open. So might actually save it for Monday for better
I would
timing.
save it for Monday.
Yeah,
It's been a week.
it sure has. Yes, so Rajula's working on a bunch of stuff. This is kind of low on the priority list because we have Buffer now and everything. And technically our GitHub workflow works. It's just if you have to make an edit to a tweet and then you have to revalidate it, then you have issues.
Yeah.
So most of the time, we try to just get things out. So I think actually we even had one recently where we had the tweet in the GitHub and there was something wrong with it. And I ended up putting it in Buffer to schedule it to go out instead of actually going through the GitHub workflow because there were some needs around that. Then it went out and it was wrong anyway. So
Happens.
but we have tools, basically, is the positive message there. Next item. So there's this blog that it's not really by Deba, but Deba is involved with. It's by Meha, right? But it's about Linux Foundation mentorship, and it's still kind of sitting here. Probably needs an update. I know that someone from our group had reviewed it, but SIG docs needed to review it. So it sounds like this is another one of those ones where we need to poke someone for review. So we should probably reach out to Meha or Deba about this. I'm just going to go ahead and put a comment on that right now. And 1 minute left. Last item. Keep track of SIGDocs blog subproject process changes. So Federico, of course, has been working on that lovely PR for our own processes, which kind of reflects what the blog subproject has been going through with updating their own processes, which is basically write your blogs in a markdown file or a Google Doc and make your changes there until it's pretty much ready to go so that you don't have to deal with GitHub's process for making your changes to your blog. Any other updates on that, right?
No, I just need to make a PR, put it on the official website.
It's on your long list of to-do items.
Yes.
I also still owe you. Oh no, it isn't the last item. There's still more stuff. No. We're at time. Rashid, you had an idea about comment on squashing commits, which is not urgent, but if you ever want to do that. There's also this concept of the security comms guidelines. So Rashid, if you're going to be working on the security blog post, we can discuss what this should be and if you want to try to work with them on that. It's not super urgent either. And there's still the open item of scheduling tweets for non-contributor comms members through our GitHub workflow. The person who works on Twitter together was going to try to fix that for us, and they haven't had time to. So maybe someday folks will also be able to schedule through the GitHub workflow, but it'll still have issues with links anyway. So Buffer's still better. And it allows us to do the automation. This is why we have Buffer, but someday it'd be good to have it fixed.
It would be.
So now we are done, a minute late.
Kaz and I reached out to Craig to have you added. He's getting a replacement laptop today, so he'll do that for Code Spaces for you.
Sounds good.
If anyone else needs it, just ping Craig Peters.
All righty. Sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, everyone. I'll go ahead and stop recording.